In the shadows of Earth's development, the Galactic Confederation has been watching with mounting horror. Their monitoring drones record humans singing songs of war while creating art of heartbreaking beauty. They document children playing war games, then growing up to split atoms. Admiral Zextrol, his iridescent scales shimmering under the council chamber lights, presents the latest disturbing evidence. Humans have achieved practical fusion decades ahead of schedule. Holographic displays showed jubilant scientists celebrating with champagne and immediately discussing weaponization possibilities. These creatures, Zextrol hisses to the assembled council members, create poetry about the stars with one hand while designing missiles with the other. The chamber erupts in fearful clicking sounds as footage plays of human children solving complex equations that would challenge adult members of advanced Confederation species. The Council's decision is unanimous and immediate. Operation Suppression must begin, a mission to surgically excise humanity's most dangerous advancements before they reach the stars and upset the delicate balance of galactic peace. The Confederation's Central Intelligence Division operates from an unassuming asteroid in the shadow of Saturn's rings. Here, in vast crystalline chambers, the greatest synapsychologists of 800 species analyze the puzzle that is humanity. Director Null Fenn, her 4 eyes rarely blinking, studies the latest drone footage from Earth's most prestigious physics laboratory. Impossible, she whispers, mandibles clicking in agitation. They've achieved controlled fusion in a device the size of a storage unit. Her assistant, Prel, a methane breather encased in an environmental suit, manipulates the holographic controls. The image zooms to show human scientists popping champagne bottles, hugging, crying with joy. Barbaric celebration rituals, Prel notes. But their achievement is remarkable. Our projections gave them at least 30 more years before. This is the 8th time they've bypassed our developmental models. Null Fenn interrupts, bringing up a timeline showing human technological advancement alongside Confederation projections. They're accelerating exponentially. Across the chamber, the Earth Monitoring Division works in silent coordination. Thousands of drones disguised as birds, insects, even dust motes transmit data from every continent. Analysts record human behavior patterns that defy all xenological understanding. They wage war, then write poetry about their fallen enemies. They build weapons, then impose moral restrictions on their use. They create art depicting the horrors of violence, while simultaneously glorifying it. In the High Council chamber on Proxima Centauri, Admiral Zextrol faces the 12 Elders. His career spans 3 centuries of maintaining the Galactic Confederation's careful balance. Never has he requested such extraordinary intervention. The humans have discovered evidence of our observation, he reports, voice steady despite his inner turmoil. His neural implants project footage onto the circular viewing platform. A human scientist examining a drone disguised as a hummingbird, suspicion dawning on her face. Elder Calum, ancient even by the long-lived Vossi standards, leans forward, his translucent skin pulsing with concern. You believe containment protocols are no longer sufficient. I do, Zextrol confirms, bringing up the latest simulations. At their current advancement rate, they will achieve practical interstellar travel within 15 years. Their psychological profile indicates they will weaponize immediately. The silence that follows feels heavy, leaden with 10 millennia of peaceful Confederation rule. They're not like us. Zextrol continues softly. They evolved as predators. Competition, conflict, and conquest are embedded in their very DNA. And now, he gestures to a final image. Earth at night, gleaming with city lights. They've conquered their own world. They look to the stars now. We must act. The sleek Confederation stealth scout ship Nebula Whisper spirals through Earth's atmosphere, trailing blue fire as its cloaking systems fail catastrophically. Captain Elix frantically erases databanks while her crew evacuates, the ship's AI coolly announcing their position over Siberia as temperature warnings flash red. On Earth, Major Svetlana Korovich's phone blares at 3 a.m. Satellite images show something impossible. A craft of clearly non-human design half buried in snow. Her Special Forces team arrives before dawn, their breath freezing in the minus 40 degrees Celsius air as they surround the still smoldering wreckage. Inside, they find an emergency beacon counting down and a single surviving alien, a wounded navigator with 6 fingers and reflective eyes who, to everyone's shock, speaks broken Russian. "Please," the alien whispers to Svetlana, "they cannot know you have found me." By the time Confederation cleanup crews arrive 12 hours later, the ship, the alien, and all evidence are gone, whisked to a secret facility beneath Moscow. Admiral Zextrol, whose 3-century career has never known failure, watches surveillance footage of humans in hazmat suits reverse engineering technology centuries beyond their understanding, working with impossible speed. He slams his fist on the conference table, shattering its crystalline surface. Containment has failed, he announces to his stunned officers. "We must move to direct intervention." Captain Elix lies suspended in a medical tank, her azure skin mottled with burns, neural connectors monitoring her every thought. The Confederation medical vessel hovers beyond Luna's orbit, cloaked from human detection systems. "She's stabilizing," the chief medical officer reports to Admiral Zextrol. But her navigator and 3 technicians remain unaccounted for. Zextrol's scales darken with rage. A physiological response, his species evolved to intimidate rivals. And the ship's core, completely missing. The emergency purge failed. Across the solar system, in a bunker 2 kilometers beneath the Siberian permafrost, Lieutenant Yuri Petrov holds his breath as the alien navigator regains consciousness. The creature's eyes, multifaceted like an insect's, dart around the sterile room, taking in the armed guards, the medical equipment, the reinforced walls. "We call ourselves the Talaxi," the alien says in perfect Russian, causing the scientists to exchange glances. "Your language centers are remarkably similar to ours." Dr. Elena Volkova steps forward, her voice carefully neutral. "You were watching us. Why?" The alien, who eventually introduces itself as Navigator Sixrel, hesitates, weighing survival against duty. "Your species develops, unusually." In Washington, D.C., the president stares at the classified photos spread across the Situation Room table. "Confirm this is real," she demands, voice steady despite the world-altering implications. "Verified by 3 independent labs," the CIA director responds. And Moscow isn't the only one with souvenirs. Beijing recovered a propulsion system. New Delhi has what appears to be a communications array. The Secretary of Defense clears his throat. "Madam President, we need to discuss weaponization possibilities." Meanwhile, aboard the Confederation command vessel Inevitable Dominance, Admiral Zextrol faces the most difficult briefing of his career. The humans have captured working examples of our phase shift engines, quantum communication arrays, and most concerning, a Talaxi navigator with extensive knowledge of our protocols. Elder Kelum's holographic presence flickers with interference, or perhaps anxiety. "You understand what you're asking for. In 10 millennia, we have never authorized direct intervention against a pre-integration species. They formed an unprecedented global coalition," Zextrol reports. 17 nations sharing alien technology. Their advancement projections have been revised. He displays a timeline showing humanity achieving interstellar capability within 3 years rather than 15. "They're adapting our technology with barbaric efficiency," an intelligence officer adds. "They don't understand the science, but they're implementing it anyway. It's like giving quantum accelerators to cave dwellers." The first human test flight using reverse-engineered Confederation technology launches from the Gobi Desert at dawn. Its pilot, Major Li Chen, has no way of knowing he's being tracked by 17 different Confederation sensors as his cobbled-together craft breaks Earth orbit in under 3 minutes. The human ship Prometheus, its hybrid engines glowing with stolen Confederation technology, pushes past Mars' orbit on its maiden voyage. In the command center, Captain Wei Chen sweats despite the climate control. His crew of international specialists. The best Earth could assemble. Monitor systems they barely understand. 18 days into their journey, sensors detect approaching vessels. On the Dosari diplomatic cruiser, Ambassador Thule practices the traditional human greeting gestures their sinologists have prepared. Open palms, gentle bow. They rehearse with their forearms, excited to make first contact with the species everyone's talking about. But when the Dosari ships deploy their standard communication array, a dazzling light sequence, the human crew sees only weapon ports opening. They're targeting us. Wei shouts, remembering briefings about alien observers on Earth. The retrofitted mining lasers of the Prometheus fire first, slicing through the Dosari ship's ceremonial hulls like paper. Ambassador Thule's final message, broadcast system-wide, captures her confusion as her ship disintegrates. Across the Confederation, the message plays on repeat, a peaceful diplomat dying at human hands. In hidden facilities on Earth, NSA codebreaker Dr. Amara Okafor freezes as her algorithm finally cracks a Confederation transmission. Her blood runs cold as she translates. Preliminary strike package approved for Sol system. Containment protocol. Maximum force authorized. She reaches for the red phone. In the Dosari home system, 12 light years from Earth, the ceremonial bells of morning ring through crystal city trees. Ambassador Thule had been a cultural icon, composer of the Harmony of Understanding, architect of peace treaties with 17 previously hostile species. Now her consciousness crystal sits upon an empty pedestal in the Hall of Memories. The humans didn't know, argues junior diplomat Maul before the Dosari High Council. Their attack was based on misunderstanding, not malice. The council leaders Gil Franz flush deep indigo with emotion. They fired without communication, without warning. 6,000 years of Dosari diplomatic protocol ignored. On Earth, the Prometheus limps home to a hero's welcome they don't deserve. Captain Wei Chen stands before the United Nations Security Council, haunted by what he's done. They weren't hostile, he admits, voice barely audible. The telemetry data is clear. What we interpreted as weapons deployment was something else. The council chamber erupts in chaos as the implications sink in. Humanity's first contact with an alien species beyond the mysterious observers. And they'd killed them. In the Pentagon's Sinological Assessment Division, Dr. Amara Okafor works feverishly to decode more Confederation transmissions. Her team has constructed a partial lexicon using data recovered from the crashed scout ship. The chamber is silent except for the hum of quantum computers and the occasional whisper of analysts. "I've got something," she announces suddenly. Fleet movements. Massive redeployments toward our system. Her supervisor studies the projected star chart. Face grim. Time estimate. 3 weeks until the Vanguard arrives. She hesitates. "Sir, there's more. I've intercepted internal communications. They're calling it the Human Containment Initiative. They're not coming to establish relations. They're coming to neutralize what they see as a threat. Throughout Earth's military installations, emergency protocols activate. In Moscow, the alien navigator Sixrel sits in an interrogation room facing General Korovich. Your people are coming, Korovich states flatly. Not to talk, but to attack. Sixrel's compound eyes reflect the harsh lights. You killed a Dosari diplomatic mission. They were beloved throughout the Confederation. It was a mistake, Korovich insists. The Confederation doesn't recognize that concept in interspecies relations, Sixrel replies. But I might be able to help you. Your species has potential I haven't seen before. In orbit around Jupiter, the Confederation Advanced Scout Whispered Dagger deploys passive sensors, recording Earth's frantic military mobilization. Admiral Zextrol reviews the data from his command ship, now just 7 light days from the Sol system. They know we're coming, he observes. Impossible. His intelligence officer protests. Our codes are unbreakable. Zextrol's scales flush with color patterns indicating grim amusement. You still underestimate them. In the underground war room beneath Geneva, Colonel Maya Hernandez stands before Earth's hastily assembled Joint Defense Council, her scarred face illuminated by holographic displays showing Confederation fleet movements. They expect us to cower, she says, her voice steady despite not having slept in 72 hours. They expect us to wait for death from above. The room falls silent as she activates the next display. Detailed schematics of an alien base hidden on Phobos, Mars' largest moon. We won't give them the satisfaction. Across Earth, secret facilities hum with activity as prototype ships, ugly, brutal things cobbled together from human innovation and stolen alien tech, prepare for launch. The strike force deploys under absolute secrecy. 37 ships carrying the best soldiers from 23 nations, misfits and geniuses all. They approach Phobos using the sun's glare as cover, a technique the light-sensitive Confederation sensors can't penetrate, a trick invented by a 19-year-old video game designer from Seoul. The Confederation base, a marvel of engineering built over decades, has no warning when the first makeshift human bombs impact. Admiral Zextrol, watching the live feed from his command ship, feels his secondary heart stop as humans in armored suits breach the main dome, fighting with a savage intensity his species abandoned millennia ago. Impossible, he whispers as the humans deploy a tactic no civilized species would consider, sacrificing their front line to allow their demolition teams access. The destruction of Phobos base takes less than 3 hours. The assault ship Vengeance, formerly the civilian freighter Baltic Star, shudders as it decelerates toward Phobos. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper checks her squad's hybrid armor one final time. Human carbon composites reinforced with salvaged Confederation alloys. 20 years as a Marine hadn't prepared her for fighting actual aliens. 3 minutes to insertion, the pilot announces. Cooper addresses her 12 soldiers, a multinational team unified by humanity's first interspecies war. Remember, we're the diversion. Succeed or fail, we give Team Beta their shot at the command center. No one mentions the near certainty of death. They've all seen the intelligence briefings on Confederation weapons technology. On Phobos, Base Commander Vrlexay inspects the automated defense grid. The Confederation outpost, disguised within the moon's largest crater, has monitored Earth for 60 years. His 8-member crew maintains the quantum sensors and communication arrays that track human development. Perimeter alert announces the base AI suddenly. Unknown objects approaching from solar blind spot. Vrlexay feels his dermal chromatophores pulse with alarm. Impossible. Nothing can approach undetected through. The first explosion rocks the base before he can finish. Warning klaxons blare as emergency force fields engage. The commander stares in disbelief at sensor readings showing 37 crewed vessels, impossible constructions of human and Confederation technology, deploying what appear to be boarding craft. Seal all compartments, he orders. Emergency transmission to Fleet Command. In the Geneva War Room, Colonel Hernandez watches the operation unfold through encrypted feeds. Each strike team carries quantum entanglement communicators, technology Earth shouldn't have for centuries. Alpha Team taking heavy casualties, reports General Williams. Breach point established, but they're facing automated defenses. Hernandez's expression remains unchanged. The assault plan accounted for 80% casualties. Are Beta and Gamma in position? Affirmative. Beta has reached the command hub. Gamma is planting charges on the power core. 500 million kilometers away, Admiral Zextrol receives the distress call from Phobos base. The fear in Commander Vrlexay's voice, so uncharacteristic of their species, sends ripples of unease through the command deck. Humans have breached the facility. The garbled transmission reports. They're using our own technology against us, modified in ways our defenses don't recognize. They're sacrificing their first wave tow. The transmission cuts to static. The Admiral's scales flush deep crimson as tactical displays update, showing the Phobos monitoring station, a marvel of Confederation engineering that took 30 years to construct, dissolving into debris. How did they know? His executive officer asks. How did they find it? How did they reach it? Zextral has no answer. For the first time in 3 centuries of military service, he feels something alien to his kind. The Confederation Grand Assembly Hall, normally a place of measured debate and ceremonial procedure, descends into chaos as footage of Phobos plays on enormous screens. Representatives from 800 species shout questions no one can answer, some molting in distress, others emitting panic pheromones that trigger emergency ventilation systems. Elder Kaluum of the Vasi, one of the Confederation's founding species, calls for silence, his ancient voice amplified throughout the massive chamber. In my 9 centuries, he rasps, I have never seen such savagery. The Assembly votes unanimously to commission an emergency chenopsychology study of humans. Dr. Neri Saul, the Confederation's foremost expert on emergent species, presents her findings 2 weeks later, her tentacles trembling as she manipulates her data displays. Humans, she explains, evolved as persistence predators. They would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Horrified murmurs fill the chamber. While we evolved toward cooperation and conflict avoidance, humans developed their civilization through constant warfare. They've created art about war, philosophy around war, spirituality incorporating war. Her next slides show human children playing with toy weapons, adults watching combat sports, historical reenactments celebrating ancient battles. Most disturbingly, she continues, humans actively seek disadvantageous scenarios to overcome. They invented a game called chess specifically to improve their strategic thinking, and their most celebrated military victories are those won against superior forces. The final slide shows a human historical quote that sends ripples of terror through the assembly. We have not yet begun to fight. Dr. Neri Saul switches to the next section of her presentation, her chromatophores dimming with professional concern. Human psychology represents a fundamental aberration from all known sapient development patterns. The holographic display shifts to show human brain scans alongside comparative data from 20 other spacefaring species. Most Confederation species evolved to avoid unnecessary risk and develop technologies to eliminate existential threats. Humans, she hesitates. Humans appear to be neurologically rewarded by risk. Their brain chemistry shows pleasure responses to novel dangers. The assembly chamber remains silent now, the initial panic replaced by a deeper, more existential dread. Their cultural productions reveal this pattern consistently. She continues, displaying examples from Earth's media archives intercepted over decades. They create recreational activities involving deliberate risk of injury. They celebrate individuals who face overwhelming odds. Their literature frequently features scenarios where a single human or small group defeats vastly superior forces through what they term ingenuity or determination. A representative from the culinary conclave rises. But surely they understand the futility of resisting the Confederation. We outnumber them trillions to billions. Neri Saul's tentacles twist in the gesture her species uses to indicate profound concern. That is precisely what they find most motivating. This simulation shows typical sapient response to overwhelming force. The display shows a green line tracking towards surrender and negotiation. And this shows the human response pattern. A red line spikes toward increased resistance. They have a cultural concept called the underdog, a competitor facing overwhelming disadvantage who nevertheless prevails. It appears in their myths, religions, entertainment, and historical narratives. Elder Kaluum's ancient voice cuts through the murmurs. You mean to tell us that our superior numbers and technology make them more determined to fight? Yes, Neri Saul confirms. And more dangerous. Our analysis of the Phobos attack reveals they used tactics no Confederation species would consider. Soldiers sacrificing themselves to create openings, improvised weapons that harmed users as well as targets, and most disturbingly, humans deliberately triggering their own pain responses to overcome our neural disruptors. From his seat at the edge of the chamber, Admiral Zextroll watches the assembly grapple with the implications. His secured datapad shows the latest intelligence. Humans building more ships, adapting Confederation technology in ways their scientists had deemed impossible. "Your recommendation, Doctor?" asks the assembly leader. Nerisal's skin flushes the deep blue of grave concern. Immediate, overwhelming force. Before they can prepare further, any hesitation will be interpreted as weakness and exploited. They cannot be reasoned with using standard diplomatic protocols. As the chamber erupts in debate, Zextroll makes his decision. His fleet will deploy within the day. The Confederation monitoring stations detect the approaching vessel with alarm. A single small ship broadcasting on all frequencies in 37 Confederation languages. Earth Diplomatic Corps requests peaceful parley. Ambassador Elena Chen stands before her mirror aboard the ship Unity, straightening her ceremonial uniform. At 63, with silver hair and eyes that have witnessed 3 wars, she never imagined her final mission would be representing all humanity to the stars. "Nervous?" asks Colonel Hernandez, now her military attaché. "Terrified," Chen answers honestly, "but they need to be more afraid." The Unity docks at Proxima Centauri V's orbital station under the guns of 12 Confederation dreadnoughts. The small human delegation walks with perfect precision through alien corridors, Chen's face betraying nothing when she sees species with impossible anatomies. In the Grand Assembly, 10,000 representatives fall silent as this tiny human woman approaches the central podium. Without waiting for introduction protocols, Chen activates her datapad, projecting classified Confederation documents about Earth onto the main screens. "You've been watching us for centuries," she announces, her voice steady despite the wave of shocked clicks and whistles. "You've seen what we do to enemies. You've seen what we do to friends. And now you've seen what we do when threatened." She pauses, letting the silence build. "But here is what you've missed. We are tired of fighting. We've developed 10,000 weapons and 1,000 philosophies of war, all while dreaming of peace." Whispers spread as she continues in perfect High Confederation language, a dialect Earth shouldn't possibly know. "My authority extends to offering 2 paths forward. Recognize Earth as a sovereign power with all attendant rights, or face a war with a species that has never stopped preparing for this moment, even when we didn't know it would come." Elder Callum leans forward, his ancient eyes studying this strange creature who speaks with such calm certainty. In 9 centuries of diplomatic service, he has never witnessed such audacity. "You claim to seek peace," he says, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "Yet your first act beyond your solar system was to destroy a Dosari diplomatic mission. Your second was to annihilate our observatory on Phobos. These are not the actions of a species tired of war." Chen's expression doesn't change. The Dosari incident was a tragic misunderstanding. Phobos was a calculated message, one you're clearly receiving. The assembly erupts in outrage, thousands of species communicating displeasure through sounds, scents, and color changes. Chen stands unmoved at the center of the storm. "How did you access our secure communications?" demands the Security Council representative, a methane breather whose environmental suit pulses with agitation lights. "How did you learn High Confederation language?" Chen allows herself the smallest smile. "Navigator Sixrel has been most helpful in exchange for asylum, and we're quick studies." In the secured observation chamber, Admiral Zextroll watches with his command staff. "She's bluffing," his intelligence officer insists. "They can't possibly have built enough ships to challenge even a fraction of our fleet." "You still don't understand them," Zextroll replies softly. "Look at her stance. She believes they can win." On the main floor, Elder Callum gestures for silence. "You speak of peace while threatening war. Explain this contradiction." Chen nods respectfully to the ancient alien. "We understand strength. Your Confederation has maintained peace through overwhelming technological superiority. We respect that. But humanity won't be contained, won't be limited, won't be treated as lesser beings. She activates a second display, showing Earth's unified defense grid. The images reveal thousands of hybrid weapon platforms in orbit, ground-based energy projectors, and most alarmingly, a network of what appear to be quantum disruptors placed at strategic locations throughout the solar system. Your analysts have likely calculated that direct confrontation will cost the Confederation dearly, she continues. What they cannot calculate is how far we will go if pushed to extinction. There isn't a human concept called acceptable losses when our survival is at stake. From the Dosari delegation comes a voice of surprising gentleness. Junior Diplomat Mal steps forward, his forearms arranged in the pattern denoting reconciliation. Ambassador Chen speaks truth about the miscommunication with our ships. He announces, shocking the assembly. Our preliminary investigation confirms their defensive systems misinterpreted our traditional greeting display. A murmur runs through the chamber. If the Dosari themselves acknowledge it was an accident, diplomacy proceeds at its pace. We prepare at ours. Admiral Zextrol announces to his war council aboard the dreadnought inevitable dominance. The holographic display shows the largest Confederation fleet assembled in 3 centuries. 30,000 vessels arranged in the traditional spear formation. On his private screens, intelligence reports track human activity, their primitive industrial base reconfiguring at impossible speed, transforming automobile factories into shipyards overnight. His lead tactician, Commander Frill, presents the containment strategy with confidence. Their homeworld will be surrounded within days. Back on Earth, in a repurposed aircraft hangar in Nairobi, Colonel Hernandez moves through a forest of scaffolding where thousands of small, ugly attack craft take shape. They're thinking like a unified empire, she explains to UN Secretary General Okonkwo as technicians install salvaged alien tech alongside human ingenuity. We're thinking like insurgents. Tension builds as diplomatic talks stall. Until disaster strikes. Captain Krell of the Confederation cruiser Righteous Judgment, whose family perished in the Dosari incident, breaks formation, commandeering a mineral extraction team to redirect a 30-kilometer asteroid toward Earth. Long-range sensors detect the approaching impact event, calculating extinction-level damage. In an unprecedented moment, Ambassador Chen and Zextrol coordinate a desperate joint operation. Human pilots with their unconventional tactics alongside Confederation vessels with their superior technology. The asteroid is destroyed mere hours before impact, the combined fleet working with unexpected synchronicity. In the debris field, a human rescue team recovers escape pods containing Confederation crew, including Captain Krell. To the shock of all observers, the human commander orders medical attention for Krell before her own wounded. When Zextrol questions this decision during the after-action briefing, Colonel Hernandez shrugs. He's no longer a threat, and everyone deserves a second chance. The Grand Assembly watches this exchange in silence, many representatives experiencing an unfamiliar emotion: shame. Admiral Zextrol studies the tactical displays, his scales darkening with concentration. The fleet deployment is textbook perfect. A containment sphere designed to isolate Earth completely. Simulation complete, his tactical officer announces. Estimated human casualties upon full deployment of Phase 1. 37% of planetary population. Zextrol's inner eyelids close momentarily. In 3 centuries of military service, he has never authorized such loss of life. Prepare alternative scenarios, he orders. Precision strikes on military installations only. His executive officer's scales flush with surprise. Sir, the Assembly authorized full containment protocols. I am aware of what they authorized, Zextrol replies coldly. In low Earth orbit, Major Jin Park guides her hybrid fighter through evasive maneuvers, testing the limits of the salvaged Confederation propulsion system. Her squadron, 20 pilots from 17 nations, follows in tight formation. Raptor Squadron, Execute pattern Omega-6. She commands, watching as her pilots perform an interweaving dance that would confuse standard Confederation targeting algorithms. Her communications officer interrupts. Major, we're picking up anomalous readings in the outer system. Something's manipulating the orbital trajectory of asteroid XB-138 in the Confederation diplomatic enclave on Proxima Centauri. Ambassador Chen sits opposite Elder Kaluum. The treaty draft between them represents weeks of careful negotiation. We're making progress, Chen offers cautiously. The ancient Vossi's skin ripples with complex emotion patterns. Some among us believe diplomacy with humans is futile. Before Chen can respond, both their communication devices activate simultaneously. Emergency protocols override all security measures as the same message reaches human and Confederation leadership simultaneously. A 30-kilometer asteroid has been redirected toward Earth. Impact in 47 hours. Extinction level event. The Confederation war room erupts in chaos as Zex Troll receives the alert. Who authorized this? He demands, scales flushing nearly black with rage. The tracking system identifies the Confederation cruiser Righteous Judgment, under Captain Krell, performing unauthorized mining operations that have altered the asteroid's trajectory. Open a channel to Krell immediately, Zextrol orders. The response comes back. Communications blocked. The cruiser's transponder disabled. In an unprecedented action, Zextrol opens a direct channel to Earth's unified command. Colonel Hernandez's face appears on the main screen, her expression grim. This was not authorized, Zextrol states without preamble. We will assist in deflection efforts. Hernandez shows no surprise. We've already launched our interceptors, but their payload capacity is insufficient for an object of this size. I'm dispatching the 7th Fleet to your coordinates, Zextrol responds. We have gravitic manipulation technology that can assist. In the debris field after the successful deflection, Captain Sarah Way of the Earth vessel Redemption detects Confederation life pods among the wreckage. Her damage control officer reports, Ma'am, we've got 4 escape pods, 1 containment unit with 13 Confederation personnel, including their perpetrator, Captain Krell. Priority rescue for all pods, Y orders without hesitation. Medical teams standing by for all survivors. But Mom, her executive officer argues, Krell is responsible for attempting genocide. Y finishes, and he'll face justice. But we're not them. Get those people medical attention. Krell first. His injuries are apparently the most severe. The Grand Assembly Hall shimmers with ceremonial light as representatives from 1,000 worlds gather for an unprecedented event. Ambassador Chen and Admiral Zextrol approached the ancient signing plinth together, an unlikely pair united by crisis. The Terran protocol, displayed on screens throughout the chamber, represents months of delicate negotiation. Earth gains recognition as a sovereign power with full protection under Confederation law. In exchange, humanity accepts certain technological restrictions and oversight of their expansion. But the document's most revolutionary clause causes ripples of discomfort throughout the Confederation. The creation of the Joint Defense Initiative, the first dedicated military force in the Confederation's history, led by the now legendary duo of Zextrol and Colonel Hernandez. You still don't trust us, Chen whispers to Elder Kaluum during a reception that follows. The ancient Vossi's skin flushes with color patterns, indicating complex emotion. We fear you, he admits, but for the first time in 10 millennia, we're changing. Across the Confederation, the integration of humans proceeds with trepidation and fascination. Human art causes riots on emotionally sensitive worlds. Human cuisine becomes an illicit addiction among species with taste receptors never exposed to chocolate and coffee. Universities create entire departments devoted to human studies as ancient species rush to understand these newcomers. 6 months after the signing, an impossible engineering crisis on the Polaris Transit Hub, where 9 vital trade routes converge, defies the Confederation's best minds. In desperation, the project director makes an unprecedented request. Call the humans. When a team led by Colonel Hernandez solves the problem in 6 days using recycled parts and theoretical physics, the Confederation had dismissed as impossible, the phrase enters the galactic lexicon. For the first time, fear begins to transform into something else: respect. At the newly established Earth Embassy on Proxima Centauri, Admiral Zex Troll watches his human counterpart, staring at the stars visible through the transparent dome. "What are you thinking, Colonel?" he asks, still uncomfortable with human unpredictability. Hernandez smiles, the expression both warming and chilling the Admiral simultaneously. "I'm thinking," she says softly, "about what's next." The celebration following the signing continues late into the artificial night cycle of Proxima Centauri B's orbital diplomatic complex. Species that weeks earlier had advocated for humanity's containment now engage cautiously with the Earth delegation. Admiral Zextrol observes from a quiet corner, his scales shifting through thoughtful color patterns. "An historic achievement," Elder Callum says, approaching with the deliberate movements of extreme age. "In my 9 centuries, I never imagined adding a species like yours to our collective." "You mean a species that terrifies you?" Zextrol responds with uncharacteristic directness. The ancient Vossi's skin ripples with amusement. "Precisely. Fear has been absent from Confederation policy for millennia. Perhaps we needed this disruption." Across the chamber, Colonel Hernandez demonstrates Earth martial arts to a fascinated group of xenobiologists, her movements precise and controlled. Several security officers watch nervously as she explains the philosophy behind judo. "The Joint Defense Initiative clause was masterfully inserted," Zextrol observes. "We never maintained a standing military force." "Because you never needed one," comes a voice from behind. Ambassador Chen joins them, resplendent in formal diplomatic attire that subtly incorporates design elements from various Confederation cultures. Until now, technological superiority was sufficient, but the galaxy is changing. In the following months, implementation of the Terran Protocol proceeds with remarkable speed. The first human tourists arrive on Vega Prime, causing equal parts alarm and curiosity among the local population. Human music, carefully screened for psychological impact, becomes the subject of intense study by Confederation artists. A trade delegation from Earth introduces chocolate to the Rigelian conclave, resulting in the first-ever emergency session of their Pleasure Regulation Authority. On the administrative station orbiting Neptune, the Joint Defense Initiative headquarters takes shape. Colonel Hernandez and Admiral Zextrol review holographic displays showing threat assessments from beyond Confederation space. "The hive clusters in the Perseus arm have been expanding again," Zextrol notes. "We've monitored them for centuries but never developed countermeasures." "Because the Confederation doesn't think in terms of warfare," Hernandez replies, studying the tactical displays. "That's why you need us." At the Polaris Transit Hub, the engineering crisis reaches critical status. The quantum fold stabilizers, technology that makes interstellar commerce possible, are failing throughout the network. 7 of the Confederation's most brilliant engineering teams have failed to resolve the cascading errors. The project director, a methane-breathing Turani, makes the unprecedented decision. "There are humans at the outpost on Deneb II," she tells her stunned staff. "Have them brought here immediately." The human team, led by Dr. Sanjay Mehta, formerly of MIT, arrives within days. They review the situation with expressions the Turani can't interpret. "Your fundamental approach is flawed," Dr. Mehta explains, to the outrage of the Confederation engineers. "You're trying to enforce order on a quantum system that requires controlled chaos." 6 days later, using parts salvaged from maintenance drones and theoretical mathematics no Confederation scientist had taken seriously, the humans stabilized the network. During the subsequent review at Confederation Science Academy, the term is first recorded: "Call the humans."